And welcome back to what will be very likely our last segment for our Cleopatra Deity game. We have officially conquered pretty much the entire world. The only bastion left is actually Arabia. So once Arabia falls, we will be the undisputed masters of the world. And Arabia, they have a coastal capital. Cairo might be just a little bit annoying for battleships to bombard, but they've only got a 69 defense ratio. They're actually, still behind in tech. Looks like they've got a decent amount of wonders over here. They were our allies. They're kind of unfriendly with us at the moment for obvious reasons. And really, this is about game. I know we were kind of racing with ourselves, domination versus science, but. The science, we still got a few, by the time Thebes' spaceport is done, we will probably be done with this game in its totality. We are at turn 257, so hopefully, now it's just a race against time. So, and I mean, right now we are bombarding America because why not? That is the only, just why not? That is the reason. We are going to go ahead and take Boston, which will be their last city on this little continental area. Not their last city of the game, though. And we will keep Boston. And kill the crossbow. And kill the swordsman army, or swordsman corpse, maybe. Gosh, it's even kind of a challenge to think of like what really to do. We are just kind of, I mean, we can have 31 traders right now. We are not going to bother with more trade routes and more traders and things like that. And Agra, we just want to have something that we don't have to deal with. Give me an AT crew because it'll take you way too long to do it. Let us probably go ahead and peace out with Gandhi. The Third Bapu War will officially come to a close. And it's been quite the epic for Gandhi, going from top to the bottom. Let's see, militarily wise, they have actually, they've actually managed to maintain their military at 1,000 so far, versus everybody else. So they, technically speaking, they're coming out better than most of the other people. But let's go ahead. Trajan was the only one that so far has lost all of their empire. Let's see if we will get all their gold. And maybe all their gold per turn? No, only 31. Maybe your salt, maybe your, all this kind of good stuff. You're going to cede Delhi to us. What else you got? What else you got? Will you give us your coal? Will you give us your horses and your iron? Yes, they will. We will accept that deal, and we will get Gandhi to pay for war reparations again. He is not happy. But he's probably gone toe-to-toe with us more than about anybody else. This leads Saladin as the last person, and will Teddy is not yet in a, this is less than 10 turns, so we still can't peace out with Teddy yet. Not that it matters whatsoever, because our defenses are going to hold them off, and this is, and I believe, it looks like they're about to build the Hermitage, and I believe Ruhr Valley is probably right there on that spot. So unfortunate that we weren't able to get that earlier in the game, but our production is so freaking high that it really didn't matter in the end. I mean, we are outproducing. Let's just face it, we are beyond our capacity to produce. Let's get this settler. I almost want to disband the freaking settler. Let's actually exit the formation. Let's put the settler into Washington so we can have him sit down. Let's upgrade our battleship to heal outside of friendly terrain. We'll go ahead and heal that up, and let's move towards Saladin. This is all that is left, unfortunately. We can start moving our fleets that way. Let's just move them up, and move up, and move up, and you also move up. And you move up, and our new fleets as well as our old fleets will all converge on one another at Cairo. So, looks, we found more Spaniards. And you just fortify for the rest of the game in Delhi, and let's see if we can. Let's see, will Madrid fall this turn? Probably not this turn. We got one turn left on it, but we can take out the frigate. For giggles, we will take out the spearmen, and let's move the musketmen down, just because, why not? And, I mean, look at all these amazing trade routes. I mean, we're at, plus 578 gold a turn. We're at plus 336 science, plus 231 culture. It's been intense. I mean, it's been, intense is the wrong word. Once, it kind of goes to show that if you're playing on Deity and you're not able to get ahead of the AI and you're struggling with it, just stick with it. Work on your early game. Work on the first 100 turns, because the first 100 turns is really going to determine the course of the rest of the game. As you guys saw throughout this Let's Play, once we got 7 cities built up and that that sound infrastructure in place with the the industrial zones going, and even later on some of the entertainment complexes for the regional bonuses, we were really able to just run away with the game completely. Nobody was able to match our production at all. I mean, not even close. The AI, has significant bonuses when it comes to aspects of the game, such as just such as going in and just like early production, their early start. They start off with a bunch of settlers, but the fact that they haven't settled as much land as they could, and Arabia actually has battleships. That'll be interesting. They still just could not compete. Period. End of story. Give us some campus research grants out of Memphis? Can you build a spaceport? No. They need 14 turns to be able to get big enough for a spaceport, so we're not going to bother with that. You see that they can't. They're not settling as much land as they can. They're definitely not taking care of districts. So they do definitely have their disadvantages in how they play the game fundamentally. But the same could be said for Civ 5, for previous 6. You usually, once you got that early advantage, once you overcame the early the early edge that is given and programmed into the AI, you could just run away with the game, and nobody would really even be able to affect you at all. So just keep that in mind, as you're going through, and if you're having troubles, just kind of watch through. Let's see if this musketman can just take it. No, it cannot just take it. Ah, crud. Crud. Hey, well, Madrid saved by a fat finger, but I'm not going to let that slow us down. So what I'm going to do in, or Cordoba, not Madrid. We already have Madrid. I'm going to buy us a knight, so that way next turn we can just walk in, irregardless. We should have just killed the Conquistador. That would have solved our issue. Would have been able to invade it just fine. And they would have been wiped off the face of the earth. They were the first person we went to war with. And side note, I really like the way Broadway looks. This Times Square looking model. I mean, really cool if you had like a neighborhood district next to it or something that to offset it. And Spain, desperate for peace, but we are not going to give it to him. And he is angry at that because he knows what's happening. The Spanish Inquisition is coming to an end once and for all. He will join the short list of civilizations that we've actually bothered to completely wipe off of the face of the earth. But as far as since the next patch, I am pleased to see that war, with the reduction in warmongering penalties throughout the civilizations, you saw a lot more war action kind of going on. Gandhi and Trajan, Gandhi and France, were all quite active in declaring war on us. Gandhi went to war with us a total of 3 times. Twice he declared out on us, and only once did we declare war on him, and it was quite by mistake. He was still allied with Trajan, and we declared war on Trajan, which I guess answers the question if alliances act as defensive pacts. They do. So if somebody is allied with another person and you go to war, and Gandhi's got a city all the way up here. So he couldn't be bothered to settle this area here, but he did go to bother to later on. It just makes no sense. He still went to war quite often with us, and in my previous Deity playthroughs before the fall patch, that was something that didn't happen. And it certainly didn't happen often. You know, they would declare war early before there would be any penalties, usually with a warrior, slinger, rush. And as long as you rebuff that, you know, they weren't going to do anything against you for the rest of the game, more or less. And it was just a matter of catching up and preventing any kind of other victory. I've yet to lose on Deity from any kind of a start that had an advantage dedicated towards us. And wow, the musketman actually suicided against the walls of Cordoba, which is unfortunate, but that's why we built the knight. That's why we built the knight. You know, the musketman had to get out of the way anyway.
Nuestros estados. ¿Por qué, señor? ¿Por qué nos has abandonado?
I think he has the best I've lost the game animation ever. Philip, I love Philip's comical distress. And he has been shut up once and for all. And I mean, just look at all this land that he had available. The fact that Brazil got Sao Paulo there is just ridiculous. He could have very well had, you know, stuffed another 3 cities in here. He could have then, you know, had more cities up here, and he could have been very, very powerful. But they just don't, you know, they don't build out appropriately. Instead, early game, he wasted time sending a settler my way, which of course led to the first war that we had against him. In that first war, he lost his settler. He took a worker from us, which was just me being dumb. I left the settler, the worker sitting there idle outside of his in my territory, and he had a warrior that just came and took it. So that had really less to do with the AI being smart and more with me just making careless mistakes. But you did see that, you know, throughout the course of war, especially against Delhi, especially against Gandhi, you know, we were actually behind in tech and in technology and the units that Gandhi was using versus us. The war elephants were outpowering everything that we could do. Okay, so he'll give us coal, which I don't need. He'll cede Washington and New York. He doesn't want to cede Boston. But, oh, wait, okay. So we're going to get him to cede Boston, we're going to get him to cede New York and cede Washington, and he is going to give us San Francisco. Will he give me the Great Work? He will give me the Great Work also. What about gold? All your gold? All your gold per turn? He will give us all of his gold per turn. He'll give us another city, Washington, New York, and Boston for peace. Okay. Whoa. I should pay attention and look at the other side of the... He almost swindled us for a significant amount of gold per turn. Good thing I didn't go ahead and say, oh, it sounds good, let's hit accept. That makes me wonder about some earlier peace deals. Maybe I wasn't looking on the other side of the table and accepted something I shouldn't have. And I will go ahead and accept that peace deal from Washington, from Teddy Roosevelt. He is not extremely happy with it, but there's not a whole lot he can do. Let's see if we can give him a resident. Let's see if we can get an embassy to see where his last city is. Yeah, great. We got an embassy. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We can see where the last city of the former Americans are. We'll probably find out where San Francisco is, because I've got no idea where... Oh, alright. Charleston. Well... Again, I mean, you know, here, you know, the Americans could have gotten this whole snaky little continent. I mean, it wouldn't have been ideal for... Just, you know what? Sorry, Arabia. Now, Saladin, you know, we were allies with Saladin.
ليس من عادة الملوك قتل بعضها البعض.
Well, I would agree with you that blood never sleeps, but it's not going to do you any good. And he actually has an ironclad up here. We are going to use our battleships back here just to make sure that he does not, do any kind of real damage to our ironclad. Not that it's going to matter in the end, but no purpose in losing something that we can keep easily. And the bombardment of Headfu just I mean, our battleships are going. San Francisco. No wonder he was okay with giving away San Francisco. San Francisco's got like almost nothing. It's on the other side of the empire. And now we're probably going to attract some attention from the barbarians and from Medina. It's okay because our technology defenses will defend against almost anything very, very easily. So let's just put something in that'll take forever. We will get this, probably our last great scientist of the game. Not that it's going to help us any. But we have, the next one up, Abdus Salam, triggers the Eureka technology moment for all information era, which is pretty good. And Memphis, I don't know, just build us some mechanized infantry. Go for it, Memphis. It doesn't really matter anymore. Build us a stadium. And we will... Actually, I'm going to send this with our canal city across the way to the next battlefront. Jakarta, which is our ally, which is good. For a second, I got that confused with Gandhi, and I was like, uh-oh. That's Brazil. All right. Again, I confused it with, I keep thinking that these are Arabian forces, and they're not, which is interesting. And this is going to be over very fast. We will just, we'll move them here. And we will, what can we hit? I guess Kabul is their ally, so, alright, well, that's fine. It's not going to make any difference. We're just bombard. And, ooh, there is their battleship. The only battleships we've come across were of the American and the Arabians, which is interesting. We will go ahead and use this battleship to finish off this battleship over here, ending any hope that they have of forming an effective resistance. We will move in our own battleship to start bombarding Cairo. Cairo has defenses of 79. It will very likely not last very long at all. Our great scientist... I mean, I guess we can transfer him over here to Porto Alegre, because it doesn't really matter. Just pop him over here in this end, and for giggles, get some extra science, because why not? Those battleships start heading over to the last known resistance point. But in any event, you did see when we were fighting with Gandhi. And, Gandhi was able to, for most of the game, in key techs, such as naval techs, and in some military techs, and in their, what they threw at us was actually above what we could do, but through some smart tactical dodging around the AI and everything like that, we were able to make quick work of all that. It didn't really make a huge difference in the end for them. It was, for them, something that just... It delayed the inevitable, if anything. And it was fun, because it was one of the few wars I've actually fought on Deity where, except for the early game, where the AI actually was on par technologically, and it forced kind of peace to go back and forth from where we were and what we could do and everything like that. And let's just... And I mean, and since the patch, I am happy to see, like, for instance, Arabia here has artillery, and they have modern units as much as they can, at least it seems. They're just not, they're just still not any kind of a threat due to the sheer firepower, the sheer production we're able to put out. They can't compete with it. They're not going to get anywhere close. I mean, as you can see, even with like the modern tech with battleships, we're just able to crank out even fleets of battleships in a ridiculous amount of time, or armadas of battleships rather, in a ridiculous amount of time. Combine that with the Venetian arsenal, and it's just not fair. I mean, the Venetian arsenal probably by itself provided more ability for us to just kind of run away with the game than arguably any other single thing. That's actually the first time in a Deity game that I have built the Venetian arsenal, and I'm quite surprised with it. It's I mean, I'm not quite surprised. When you read it, you look at that and you're like, wow, that's if you're familiar with Scythia at all, where they can produce 2 horsemen for the price of building 1. These kinds of wonders and these kinds of abilities, when they're stacked on top of everything else, is just insane. I mean, like, if you look at Swinet, we can build 2 fleets or 2 armadas of battleships in 11 turns. And Swinet is not anywhere near our most powerful production city, and we'll take a look at some of these production cities as we move, just for fun, really, just move our naval forces that way. Akhenaten, which is one of our newest cities, actually has 83 production per turn. Without too much, we'll just send that to Amsterdam because without too much difficulty due to all of our overlapping regional bonuses. And I feel like, I mean, I'm not an AI programmer or anything like this, so it's probably more complicated than I thought, but I feel like you could conceivably create a situation where the AI would focus on, building these things out regionally versus staying, versus not very, coordinating their districts very well. Like, for instance, we'll show I West and Northwest or whatever, 78 production per turn. Thebes at 136 production per turn, which was super boosted up by the Petra. That was another first time on Deity that have actually been able to land the Petra. Usually the AI builds it in a city that's got like 2 desert tiles, and they take it just for the sake of taking it. So that turned Thebes around and made Thebes a miraculous kind of city. Raw Cadet, 160 production per turn, so by far strongest production town, so it just ridiculously cranks things out. 86 production per turn in Swinet, 90 production per turn in Memphis, Abydos at 91 production per turn, Edfu at 91 production per turn, Sais with 6 population, one of our earliest towns, still 101 production per turn. And Mendez at 81, even though it's mostly in the tundra, production per turn. So, if you haven't been stacking your industrial districts and you haven't been going for it, I highly encourage you to go for it. That is definitely the way to go to catch up, to dominate, to go forward. And we've lost the Buenos Aires suzerainship. We're going to take it back because I do want the amenity bonus from Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, your bonus resources behave like luxury resources, providing 1 amenity type, which is very strong on this map, simply because there weren't many luxury resources on this map. It's one of the maps I've played with the least amount of luxury resources in the game. In almost any game that I've played so far. Usually there's been a lot more than on this map. Jakarta's suzerain bonus, extra 1 gold per turn was alright. We primarily got it early on for the +4 gold in every commercial hub there. It was just simply the easiest gold city we could get. And Toronto was being next to Toronto was lucky. It was great because Toronto actually makes it so all of your regional effects from industrial zones and entertainment complexes reach 3 tiles further. So that allowed us to really make sure that every single city that we had was more or less getting all of the bonuses from every other from every single other city on our main continent, period, which is nuts. And you can see, I mean, there were so few luxury resources in this map. We never even got irrigation. Like, it's just, there was no point. There was no resource. And you see just through the tech tree, there's a lot that we skipped out. Right? We never went for banking. We didn't need it. Our gold between our trade routes and everything like that was so ridiculously strong that it just didn't matter. We didn't go a lot through, armies. I mean, our army stayed on the home continent the whole game because it was battleships and navy that just dominated in particular game, allowing us to bombard and capture without investing a whole lot otherwise. And let's nuclear fission, 13 techs, 9 techs for nanotech. Yeah, nuclear fission, why not? Early on in this game, I did have dreams of nuking Gandhi at some point, but it just, it was never to be, never came to pass, because of everything going on, world-wise. Everybody was hampered by the island maps. We're not going to give a deal. We're certainly not going to give any kind of thing to Brazil. Everybody was hampered by the fact that it was an island map. Everyone was slowed down, even if you compare it to turn 100 saves of other games. Usually the science and the city amount and everything like that is much higher at turn 100 if you have an early neighbor. Because those early boosts that you get from even just meeting another civilization or meeting 3 city-states and, building a district and these things like that, they so radically escalate your first 100 turns. They make them so much quicker to get those early boosts before you have any infrastructure in place that it really increases your progression through the game quite a bit. We didn't have that. Woo, yay, we finished our spaceport. And we got castles. Excellent. Rock Cadet, build us a science project. Let's launch the Earth satellite. 7 turns, which is a great production time for the Earth satellites. If you don't have things up and you don't have bonuses like that, it usually takes quite a bit longer. So that is a good thing. Cairo is about to lose all of its defenses already. And they are down and gone, and there is not a whole lot of hope for the last players, the last country that is not dominated by the influence of Ra. And you also see in this game that we didn't really have an opportunity to use a lot of our unique bonuses. So you don't even necessarily need to rely on those if you have just good, solid gameplay fundamentals. If you adapt into your terrain and you're building out and you just always think from the standpoint of, when I build this city or if I build this, how is it going to affect a region of cities? How is it going to build out and affect the entire empire versus just thinking of it as one cool city? You need to think in regions of cities. You need to think in sections of cities and things like that versus just I have a city and the city is very powerful and the city by itself is producing. That's very much the way this Civ has gone with the districts and everything of that nature. And nope, we are not going to give you a free gift, Catherine. What was that look for? So, in that sense, we're 1 turn away from victory here. Next turn, we will get it at turn 263, I believe, in 1755 AD. Not bad. Even for a slower start, that was good. Obviously, having this much land to ourselves did certainly serve as a good benefit. We were able to settle that mostly unharassed because we were proactive with the barbarians in the beginning. We never let the barbarian camp spawn to begin with, to never become an issue, to never slow us down. We had an embarrassingly small amount of military for a lot of the game trying to catch up. Had we had an early neighbor, which I have had on a landmass, just like that one before, what we really would have done is conquered that neighbor early on, which would have made us stronger earlier because of all of the benefits you get from conquering the AI. I mean, you think about it. You get, just with 3 archers and 2 or 3 warriors. You can take their capital city and a couple of other cities if you're there quick enough. And then not only do you gain those initial cities that you don't have to invest settlers in, but you also are able to get maybe settlers that they have or any other things like that. So that just makes it, makes the rewards for early war, even if you plan on being peaceful, very, 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 very fruitful. And it's kind of like historically accurate in the sense that early on in the development of civilizations overall, they very much did go to war, and they did. If you saw a neighboring tribe, they went after them because it was either going to be you're probably going to try to kill me before I kill you. So um, don't don't think that you're not being peaceful if you conquer them early. That's all I got to say. Now, one last look at before we declare victory here, before we conquer Cairo. Our science, our ending science on turn 263 in 1760 AD was 326 science per turn at 47 technologies researched. Second place was the Arabians with 39 techs researched and 100 science per turn. We saw throughout most of the game Pedro and Gandhi. Gandhi was the leader for most of the game, going through almost everything except for culture. And they were trading with America with culture. Culture-wise, we are at 516 tourism per turn, so technically we could probably win a tourism victory if we just sat back and did nothing other than wait for the turn timer to go over. America had a lot of tourism going in, and that's in fact where we inherited most of our tourism from. We had to watch them a couple times. We had to watch them throughout the game because, this number, when you had 26 tourists out of 100, needed to win the game, you almost were looking, do I need to rush to attack them? So we had to keep an eye on them for a little bit. In the end, it wasn't irrelevant. In the end, we were allies with them for a certain segment of the game, but all things switched. Domination, of course, we are ending with our military strength of 3,600, primarily built off of the power of armadas and fleets and of battleships, and a couple ironclads to capture cities. Battleships and frigates are particularly powerful in this game because you're able to bombard quite dramatically and move around freely, which land units sometimes can struggle with in positioning. Religion, we never had a religion. Gandhi is the only one that came close, to a religious victory, but even then it wasn't ever very close. I mean, they had 2 civs converted, and that was just themselves in India, and they never really got beyond that. We didn't see a lot of religious action in this game, other than Spain sending down a few missionaries every now and again to our cities. I don't even think most of our cities actually ever got, like most of these, still have our pantheon bonus as the majority religion. So we were the I guess you could call them, we were Tengriists. We were worshiping the open sky for the whole game. We did get one Eastern Orthodoxy. I forgot who founded that. We wiped them out. It was probably Rome that got it. Ending score is 915, and most of that's from Empire. Some from Wonders, some from Technology, but it's pretty dominant overall. And you can see how that escalated so quickly. Turn 100, we were about on par. We were still catching up with everybody else. By turn 200, we had gone from something like 20 or 30 science per turn to over 100 science per turn. And then from turn 200 to turn 263, we got up to 326 science per turn. And over 340 culture per turn. So quite intense. We are going to go ahead and now with the closing here, we are going to conquer Cairo, and we are going to sit back and watch the domination victory at hand. Ooh, an achievement. Daughter of Ice. And that is it. I appreciate you watching. We will have another Let's Play coming up for Deity. Maybe we might try the random thing again. I would like to try to focus on getting a religion victory on Deity because I haven't done that yet. I first want to, my first thoughts are to go with Russia because of the awesome powers of the Lavra, but that is not something that, it almost seems like too easy. Maybe we might do something fun, like try to go Norway religion, where, Norway's got a very weak civilization bonus. But as you can see with Cleopatra, we never really got to use our trade routes to other civilizations or coming back to us to grow our stuff because we weren't surrounded by too many civilizations, where it was too much spread out. We weren't even able to use our river bonuses very much because we only had really one river, and it was surrounded by hills. And we never even got to use our war chariots. So hopefully next game we'll be able to build a little bit more to the Civ's unique strength. We would have very easily gotten a science victory. We could have even gotten a culture victory if we wanted to early on. It just would have been like an extra probably 50 to 60 or 70 turns. You saw the satellites building in 7 turns. We could have just holed up and done that, but I think going around the world real quick and just ending the game through domination was just quicker and more entertaining. We are on the level of Herbert Hoover, and what they're saying, what the country needs is a good big laugh. If someone could get off a good joke every 10 days, I think our troubles would be over. So I will leave you with that, and we'll see you in the next one.